All right, here we go. We're going to be reacting to a video. It's called Snowflakes by Tom MacDonald. I am kind of excited, honestly, because I get called a snowflake sometimes just because I'm a liberal. So let's see how much I agree or disagree with this. If you lie to the Okay, hold on. All right, first thing first. Tom equals trash, and Tom that has a zero, like a cancel culture type thing. He's not trash because he's a human being. Okay. That's the first thing. The second thing is I don't really buy into that cancel culture stuff. And I know you're probably thinking, wow, a liberal that doesn't actually buy into cancel culture. I don't buy into it because I think that the cancel culture in and of itself is garbage. Um, I think that it's destructive and I think that it causes problems. So let's start into this. I'm gonna do this so that way I can start it over. If you lie to the government, they'll put you in prison. But when they lie to all of us, it's called being a politician. You think taking guns away will save our kids from the killings, but you're So heads up that the whole phrase about lying, the politicians lying to us. Well, both sides do that. But when they lie to all of us, it's called being a politician. You think taking guns away will save our kids from the killings, but you're pro-choice abortion. Ooh, taking guns away from us will save our kids from killings. Okay, this is one of those like really big topics. You take the topic of guns. And this is a topic that I remember a few years ago. I will be honest, I landed on the side of nobody should have guns. Now I land on the side of having guns. Something happened that made me scared of guns when I was a kid. Something happened that made me think that guns were bad. And that trauma is what kept me from believing that guns are okay. And this is something that is very, very difficult to talk about. And I know I'm not alone within that gun violence type of spectrum. So hopefully there's some grace right here. I have, went to the shooting range. I have, my wife owns a gun. So there's that. Um, Now I will tell you now where I land is I land on the side of if you take guns away from people, the criminals still have guns, and the criminals are still going to get guns. And they're not going to go through a background check to get a gun. They're just going to either steal it or they're going to buy it from a third party. So if you take the guns away from the people who would protect me, who's going to protect me? If I don't own a weapon myself, who would protect me? Just saying. Kills way more children. If America's so terrible and racist, it probably isn't safe to encourage immigration. Just saying, all the contradictions are embarrassing. You know who hates America the most? Americans. Trigger warnings. Okay, so this one right here, I will tell you. So I live in Portland, Oregon, and one of the things that we went through was the whole Floyd riots. And I have nothing against, peaceful protesting, but I do have something against, destroying things. Um, I don't like the fact that things got destroyed. I remember there was a year and a half where the courthouse was surrounded. People were down there, and there was so much tear gas being thrown around by the police, and it's because people were unruly. It's because people were destroying things. They're lighting things on fire. They're looting. They're causing chaos. They're becoming anarchists, and it's not a good place to be. And the thing is, they're Americans, and they were destroying their own city. That's like the hardest thing for me to understand is why would you destroy your own city? But I digress. America the most Americans. Trigger warnings used to be on TV for seizures, and now they're everywhere to protect millennials' feelings. He, she, his. So I'm a millennial. Oh, bro. Oh, I will tell you that I do use trigger warnings sometimes.
But my trigger warnings are from talking about like suicide, if I'm talking about some of the darker things that have happened in my life, because I've been through a lot of stuff. And if you ever get the opportunity to get to know me or I open up to you guys, you'll know that I've been through a lot of stuff. And part of going through a lot of stuff is when I'm able to share it with other people, when I'm able to share my experiences and kind of help lift other people up out of whatever they're currently going through. Sometimes I give a trigger warning. If I know that person has been through any sort of abuse, I'm not going to talk about abuse without giving a trigger warning because I don't want to upset them to the point where they regress. My goal is to lift them up and encourage them, not break them down. That's what that's what kind of trigger warnings I do. But the whole trigger warnings of, the things that easily trigger you, um, I can't really think of a whole lot that triggers me, honestly. My wife would be able to tell you more, but I can't think of much.
Him, hers, them, they, screw a pronoun, cause everyone's a retard these days. I hear him preaching at
Okay, so I've heard, heard that there's a person that's on video. Heard. I don't know what her name is, but I believe that that might be her, who is in the LGBT community. And the cool thing about this is that from the sound of it so far, there's very, very right-wing ideology. Like, obviously, the title's called Snowflakes, but this right-wing ideology, and then all of a sudden you throw in something that's in the left, makes me think that he's more center focused and in the middle. So this is kind of cool. This is really cool.
the protest that hatred's the problem, but hating straight men, white folks, and Christians is common. Coca-Cola
Okay, I gotta listen to that again.
hatred's the problem, but hating straight men, white folks, and Christians is common. Coca-Cola telling people they should.
Hating straight men, white folks, and Christians is common. Well, I'm a Christian, so it's really, really difficult to say that I hate Christians. Um, but I can tell you, when I was younger, I had a grandfather who was my rock. He was my solid rock. And the thing is, like, he's a straight white man. If I hate straight white men, then I hate the people who are in my own life, in my own personal circle, which means I would hate my brother, I would hate my grandfather, I would hate my uncle, I would hate all these people because they're straight white men. So that stereotype is so dangerous. It is so dangerous.
To be less white, they preach intolerance, but if you disagree, they fight. There's a race war here, elections based on fear. Black lives only matter once every 4 years. Soldiers died.
So let me tell you something. The Black Lives Matter only matters once every 4 years. There have been a lot of controversies around Black Lives Matter. So like the embezzlement stuff. Um, there's been so many things that have happened. And the thing is, like, they've politicized it. It's completely politicized. Do I firmly believe that there are some injustices? Absolutely. There's bad apples everywhere. There's bad apples in the police department. There's bad apples in the fire department. There's bad apples in society. There's bad apples everywhere. True story. I know someone who went to Pakistan, and when I was talking to her, one of the things that she told me was that, it's not the 95% of the people that are in Pakistan that are dangerous. It's the 5% of people who are terrorists who want to kill you. So it's the 5% of people who are bad that make the 95% of people struggle. So if we stereotype that 5% and we apply it to that 95%, we are stereotyping 100% of this community. It doesn't need to be stereotyped because it's a whole lot easier to hurt a stereotype than it is a human being. And it sucks that there's been so much damage done by this. There's been so much division caused by this. I mean, I remember one time I got called a racist. I grew up in Southern California, never had, I mean, I had some white friends, can't say never, but most of the time my friends were either black or Hispanic or Hawaiian. I had a couple friends from Korea. You know, and it was one of those things that it was kind of cool because I got to learn other people's cultures. But what I found was that there was a giant culture shock when I moved out of California because where I moved, there's mostly white people. That's just a reality. I mean, heck, there's even a city that's pretty close to me that still has laws from, 50 years ago when the KKK was ruling here. And that's just a reality, right? And it's where we live. And the culture shock was I never really had white friends. So when I showed up and I see mostly white people, I'm just like, feel really out of place. But then I came to realize that they're some of the nicest people that live here. Because that when you judge a book by its cover, first thing you get that oh my gosh, I don't know what it's called, but when you fire a gun, you get that pullback. You get pulled back and it kind of surprises you. And oh my gosh, I can't think of the name. But it's when you fire and it kind of pull back and that's what ended up happening is when you judge a book by its cover, you end up getting slapped with your own weapon. And it's just, yeah. It's-
Based on fear, black lives only matter once every 4 years. Soldiers died for this country, and every one of us benefits. Give welfare to the bums and forget about the veterans.
Okay, so here's a really cool thing. First of all, I want to say thank you to anybody who has served in the military. When I was in high school, I wanted to be a Coast Guard so badly, but it never happened. And it never happened because I got medical issues. And those medical issues hindered me all the way until now. Some of them still hinder me. But the thing is, like, I have so much respect for people in uniforms. For most millennials, don't. It's really, really heartbreaking and really, really saddening because you guys put your life on the line for us, and I am so grateful. Thank you.
Black folks and white folks divided by the news, but we are all the same. We are red, white, and blue. Ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Cause honestly, we are all ashamed of you too. Y'all are so fake. Oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa.
Hold
Black folks and white folks divided by the news, but we are all the same. We are red, white, and blue. Ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Cause honestly, we are all ashamed of you too. Y'all are so fake. Oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa. You can make us see it your way. No way. Gasoline and propane. More flames. Oh no. No more snowflakes. They set us up to
on. That's good. That's so good. It is so good. I really like that chorus. That's really
fail. That's what they built the system for. Put an ammunition shop across the street from a liquor store. Empowering women used to be different than this before. The role models got OnlyFans or dance on a stripper pole. Screw it, I ain't tripping. I don't mean to be mean, but if our children are the future, then our future is bleak. They take an Adderall to focus, hit McDonald's to eat. They're addicted to phones and they take Xanax.
yeah. I feel called out now. I feel called out now. I eat McDonald's. Obviously, I'm a bigger guy. I know that. I remember growing up, one of the things that ended up happening, and my mom grew up with a lot. Wow, talk. So I grew up with mostly a single parent. My mom worked about 60 hours a week to try to take care of us. Never had welfare. I mean, we had Medicaid or Medi-Cal when I lived in California, and that was the thing, right? That was one of those really hard things that she had to do. She didn't have food stamps. She worked her butt off, and she still works her butt off. And she provided for my brother and I. Single parent, working 60 hours a week. She couldn't go to my water polo games. She couldn't be an intricate part of my high school life. And the thing is, like, it's one of those. Uh, yeah, it's just one of those things.
To eat, they're addicted to phones and they take
It's one of those things where I'm sorry I keep harping this, guys, but it's one of those things where because she was working 60 hours, she didn't have the energy to cook. So a lot of times we ate out really cheaply. I remember scrounging for change, and that was ultimately, sadly, that was the beginning of like how I ended up to where I am now. I mean, I'm a big guy. It's just what the reality. Um, but there's things that I can do now that I couldn't do when I was a kid. One of those things is I can choose where I spend my money. And that's the thing about also being a free country is that if I choose to go eat McDonald's, I can choose to go eat McDonald's. I could choose to go get a $2 hamburger, a $3 hamburger, or I could choose to go spend $5 on something healthy at the store. So it's a bigger conversation than just, oh, that guy likes to eat McDonald's. It's a bigger conversation than that.
Xanax to sleep. They blurred the lines dividing communism and democracy. In 2021, we paint the patriots as Nazis. The men playing women's sports get trophies for winning. Like, great, let's
Oh,
celebrate a man for beating some women. If you're black, your life matters. You're supposed to embrace it. If you're rich or you're smart, then you're probably Asian. If you're gay, then you're brave. All of that, I'm
so that's stereotype. These are all like really, really extreme stereotypes. I got to go back because there's a lot that I
I
missed.
don't mean to be
Um,
mean, but if our children are the future, then our future is bleak. They take an Adderall to focus, hit McDonald's to eat. They're addicted to phones and they take Xanax to sleep. They blurred the lines dividing communism and democracy.
so really quick, he said one thing that uh, about the phones. These guys right here. Okay, so kids are now born pretty much coming out of the womb knowing how to use a phone. Blows my mind. I mean, I had my first cell phone when it was a flip phone when I was 12 and I had it for emergencies. And that was when, you know, iPhones started coming out and it was yeah, it was interesting. Um but I remember, smartphones first coming out and I had this flip phone and this was back in the days where um uh you had to pay for each individual text message. And I remember the one game that my mom did go up to. It was a tournament. It was a Milliken tournament in Southern California. I don't remember what city it was in. But she showed up and it was like a $900 phone bill because I had sent, 26,000 text messages. That was the days. Thank goodness. Thank goodness. Gen Alpha doesn't have to worry about the whole individual text messages or data charges for 4K video.
In 2021, we paint the patriots as Nazis. The men playing women's sports get trophies for winning. Like, great, let's celebrate a man for beating some women. If you're black, your life matters. You're
I mean, I get it. I get it. There's some physical differences between biological sexes. I get it. Do I believe that gender and biological sex are the same? No. I believe that a biological sex is what you were born as, but I believe a gender is something that can be on the spectrum. I believe that. We're probably going to disagree. That's okay. Um, Now, when it comes to sports, I think that there should be some sort of rule or some sort of qualification that says, hey, you check this. Because I can tell you, I've met some women who could beat the crap out of some guys. And there was actually I was in high school and there was a woman that had joined the boys wrestling team. And it was like a biological identifying woman who joined the boys wrestling team. Growing up, I always thought that they might end up being trans. But they weren't. They were a biological woman on the boys wrestling team. And I will tell you, they trained with them, they wrestled with them, and they won many, many trophies. And the thing is, they competed. They played on the football team. They blurred the lines of what it meant to be on the sports because they made it to where there was certain criteria that we had to meet. We had to make weight. We had to, be able to bench certain amounts. We had to do this. She had to do that. And that's what made it okay for her to be. Now, vice versa, I don't know what the solution is. What I do know from experience uh, with this one particular individual and how amazing it was to see her be so versatile on men's teams, on boys' teams.
Supposed to embrace it. If you're rich or you're smart, then you're probably Asian. If you're gay, then you're brave. All of that I'm okay with. But if you're white, the stereotype is you are a racist. Blaming
Oh,
capitalism like that's the reason things are tough. While you tweet from an iPhone and sip on a Starbucks, you're supporting what you stand against. You don't think you
I may be kind of guilty of that one. Like I said, I am a millennial. I have no issues with admitting when I'm wrong on things. Do I go out of my way to help people? Absolutely. Do I involve myself in publicly displaying my acts of goodness? No. And the reason why is because I don't believe that that's biblical. I believe that if I'm going to go do something, I'm going to do it in front of my Father in heaven, and I only need to do it for him. So if I'm gonna go help, Sally Joe over there, if I want to pay for someone's coffee behind me, I don't have to politicize it. I don't have to announce it. I don't have to post it on Facebook. Hey, helped out another stranger again. I don't have to do that stuff. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it just because.
are, but a Percocet addict don't donate money to pharma. Damn, dog, we're all afraid to speak the truth. And the more afraid we get, the more we hate the ones who do. You're ashamed to be American? Okay, that's cool. Cause honestly, we are all ashamed of you too.
Y'all are so fake. Oh no. The forecast said that there'd be snowflakes.
Hope you guys are not ashamed of me. I'll tell you this, just because I have different views doesn't mean that, I don't think of you guys as like this. I remember I used to be a manager of the agency program. And one of the things I used to tell all my new hires, it didn't matter where they landed, was that we're all right here. We just have different roles in society. We have different roles in this company, with different roles in society. And at the end of the day, that's where it's at. Um, I don't think it's anything that needs to be judged. I think that we're all entitled to our opinions. That's freedom of speech. I've had some people tell me, "Oh yeah, you're bad." Great, that's your freedom of speech. Guess what? That's between me, my doctor, and me and God. If God wants to convict me about my weight, I'm gonna let him convict me about my weight. Sometimes I have that conversation with my wife. It is what it is. I know the risks of being obese. I don't have to be reminded. Sometimes people will have their freedom of speech and say things like, "Oh, you're a millennial, you don't know anything." Great. I'm gonna let you think that. At the end of the day, I don't care what people think about me. But that's the thing is I love people where they're at. You don't have to agree with me. I don't have to agree with you. In fact, I know I'm not going to agree with you. You know how I know? Because we're different. Different people, different opinions, different views. That's just how it is, and yeah.
Whoa. You can make us see it your way. No way. Gasoline and propane. More flames.
This is a
Oh
good hook.
no. No more
We can
snowflakes.
all get along, but there's no stopping. Ay, everybody's wrong, that's the real problem. Ay, they don't wanna hear it, but they still talking. Ay, soon enough, we running out of options. Ay, this ain't gonna end till it's in the coffin. Ay, we ain't gonna be friends till we try to squash it. Ay, I don't know how we can make amends or we drop it. Snowflakes melt when it's hot, kid.
Y'all are so fake.
I missed half as far as I was taking the music. I'm sorry.
Propane. More flames. Oh no. No more
We can
snowflakes.
all get along, but there's no stopping. Ay, everybody's wrong, that's the real problem. Ay, they don't wanna hear it, but they still talking. Ay, soon enough, we running out of options. Ay, this ain't gonna end till it's in the coffin. Ay, we ain't gonna be friends till we try to squash it. Ay, I don't know how we can make amends or we drop it. Snowflakes melt when it's hot, kid.
Y'all are so fake.
So it goes back to what I was saying. It doesn't matter what your views are. It doesn't matter what my views are. We gotta do. We gotta be able to meet in the middle. You can have your views, I can have my views. At the end of the day, we're both people. The skin is the same skin that other people have. But the only difference is that this skin is on my body. The only difference between the blood that runs through my veins is that I believe I'm like A something, but that's the only difference. It's the same color, it has the same function, it keeps all of us alive, the same kind of blood that flows through all of our veins, the same kind of oxygen that sustains our lives. And at the end of the day, it's not worth the division and the time and the energy that it takes to fight. It's just not.
Oh no, the forecast said that there'd be snowflakes. Whoa, you
So
can
good.
make us see it your way. No way, gasoline and propane, more flames. Oh no, no more snowflakes.
This was really good. Okay. Okay. Feeling. Oh, that's really, really vivid. Um, that's awkward. Let me get rid of that. So, I feeling, and just going based off of, let's see, lion. Truth is like a lion, you don't have to defend it. Okay, well, anyway, this is a really disturbing thing. I'm gonna let that pass so that way I can skip it, because I don't want to see. If there's one thing that does trigger me, it's that. Okay, so I will tell you that from the sound of this, it sounds very much like Tom MacDonald is just trying to prove a point that sometimes us millennials go a little too far. I think that sometimes he might be right. I mentioned the riots in Portland. I mentioned a couple things that I've experienced, especially with like weapons and guns and things like that. Um, and I don't think that we're that far off. I think that sometimes some of the views that we may have differ a little bit, and I think that's okay. I think it's okay to disagree on some things. I think that if you're having a conversation, an adult conversation where you can actually come to the table and you can meet in the middle, I think that that leaves room for healthy dialogue. If you don't have healthy dialogue, well, are you mature? That would be the first thing that I'd ask. Um, trigger warning. Just kidding. Two is I would want to know what happened that made you so defensive. Because the thing is, like, I know for me, if I'm into with guns, there was something that happened to me when I was 19 years old that made me terrified of guns. Now I'm in my 30s, and I'm okay with guns. I had a lot of things to work through, and so I can tell you from my standpoint, I got guns, but also that it is a bigger conversation than just you agree with me. There's been life experiences that have shaped all of us. And so I think that Tom's not too far off from like where my thoughts are because he's got his own opinions. I've got my own opinions. We may not see eye to eye on everything, but I don't think anybody is going to see eye to eye. And that's just the reality. Um, yeah, hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content. This is my first video, so give me some grace. Again, I am a millennial. I'm also a pastor. I'm also someone who very much loves people. I don't care if you land on the right or the left. I just want to be able to have a conversation as an adult and say, "Hey, you are loved. You are wanted. You are appreciated. You are valued." And that's probably the biggest millennial trait that I have is that I really value people. And so if you liked what my reaction, uh, give it a thumbs up, like and subscribe.